Hello, this is the 5th video in the Learning to Program with SolderCore series. In this video I'm going to be looking at creating and calling procedures. So as programs get bigger and more complex, it makes life easier if you can group together certain tasks into blocks called procedures. These procedures can then be called at any point within the program to do the required tasks. To implement procedures in Core Basic, you first need to define the procedure, and then at some point you need to call it. So let's jump in and show you how to define and call procedures. Okay, choose the editor as per normal. Right, the syntax for defining a procedure are simply def proc, the procedure name, my proc, open bracket, close bracket, then you type in your statements that you want the procedure to execute, which we'll do in a second, and then you end the procedure with end proc, like so. So in this procedure, I'm just going to do a simple print to screen. Printing from within a procedure. And that's it. So that's a very simple procedure there. To call this procedure, you simply type call myproc like so, and I'm just going to put an end here so we don't get a warning or an error from Core Basic. Okay, let's jump out to the editor, clear the screen. If I run that, there you go, you can see we get that simple statement here printed like so. So let's jump back into the editor, and I'll now show you how we can pass in variables to the procedure. So let's first set one up. Let's have myval equals 34, and we're going to now change the definition of the procedure, taking a single variable. Let's call it A. We can now do print my age is, and then semicolon A, semicolon years old, like so. Okay, and now we need to pass in this variable, which is called myval, like so. Okay, so what that's going to do is pass my value into this procedure, and then it's going to print my age is, in this case, 34 years old, which is pretty straightforward. So myval is passed into this procedure by value. That is, the variable myval is copied to A. So if we were to do any operations on A, say we added 10 or 20 or whatever to the value A, it only gets affected within the procedure. The actual myval here doesn't get altered, which I'll just quickly show you after I've run this. If I just let's say run, there you go. I need a space in there, but as you can see, it passed in the value of 34. If I now say A equals A plus 10 and age myself by 10 years, I'll print A so you can see that. I'll print it myval. What we should see is that A within the procedure goes up to 44, but then straight after, when we print my value, we'll see that it's still 34. So I'll just run that. So what you can see there you go. So we've added 10 to the variable A, and then we've exited the procedure, and myval is still 34. So that's because A is passed in by value rather than as reference. Most variables are passed in by value. The only case where this isn't true is when you pass in an array. So if we declare an array, let's call it my array. We'll just create some numbers, gen 0 to 9. Let's pass in a second variable, my array. We need to change the procedure to take a second variable, like so. Let's just delete these two lines here. Control X deletes an entire line. Okay, so if I now print B, in the actual array, and then I'm going to say b element naught equals, let's make it something completely different, let's turn it into a character, print b again, I'll just print my array. Now what we'll see now is that when you change the value or one of the elements of this array, in this case the first element 0, it's not only changed within the confinements of this procedure, it's also affected outside of the procedure. So let's just get screen, and there you go. So the original array is 0 to 9, created by the generation or gen function. We then print, just list it so you can see, we then print we print b, so just the 0 to 9. We then edit the first element or assign it the value or to the character question mark, and we print it again, and that's it. And then we print my array, and we can see that this has also been changed here as well. So arrays are slightly different to the other types of variables that are passed in, and that if you do change them, we do operate on them, it affects the array that's been passed in. So it's been passed in by reference rather than by value. Okay, so that's a real simple introduction into procedures. What I'd like to do next is show you a more complex program that's pretty much used everything that we've looked at so far. So I'm just going to clear the screen. I'm not going to write it out now because it'll take too long, but let's call it load space 4. Okay, so this is the Space Invaders SolderCore work in progress. This is code that hopefully will implement or will at some point implement the full Space Invaders game. It's relatively straightforward. It's using pretty much everything that we've looked in the previous 4 videos and this video. The exception to that is some of the graphics primitives used by the draw and erase functions or procedures at the bottom of this program. I'll just run really quickly what it does, but I will post this code onto the website so you can dissect it at your own leisure, and perhaps improve it or maybe even finish it off. But so what we do is we have an array A. A defines all the points that we use to draw the Space Invader onto the graphics device, which in this case is going to be an LCD shield, which I'll show you in a second. I declare the array across 4 lines because for one, it's easier to read, and 2, Core Basic doesn't like particularly long lines. We then define some more constants that are used throughout the program. We then set up an array which holds the positions of the invaders, so that's the horizontal and vertical positions. We then go and iterate through the array using the for each loop here, and we go and draw each alien at the positions passed in here as IX and IY. And the main loop here, for W equals 1 to 300 in this case, is involved with animating the aliens, which you'll see in a second. And this just runs through either until W equals or is greater than 300, or until the invaders hit the bottom of the screen. So what I'll do is we'll show you this running. Let's just set the camera up. Zoom in. So, as I said, we're using the LCD shield. This is currently plugged just above the SolderCore. So the SolderCore is underneath here. As you can see, the breakout shield or the LED shield is next to it. So let's see it running. So if I hit F5 to run, what you can see there is our Space Invaders moving from left to right, bouncing off the screen and slowly making their way down to the bottom. I can edit the code quickly, make it a little bit more interesting. So let's randomize the colors. Like so, and perhaps, I don't know, we'll add another alien or another row. Okay, we we should have a few more this time. There you go, so you can see them flashing away in different colours. So it's a good starting point for your own implementation. I did say in the previous video that we were going to look at the I/O pins and controlling those on SolderCore, but to keep this video, well, try and keep it under 10 minutes, I'll move that into the next video. So hopefully you've got a reasonable understanding of procedures. In the next video, as I said, we will look at controlling some of the hardware aspects of the SolderCore, including digital analog inputs and outputs. Hopefully we'll see you then. Thanks very much.